Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Downer, and thanks for joining us on Right at Home, the homeowner's inside guide to getting it done right the first time. I am here with Ryan Johnson. He is the owner of Right Roofing. How are we doing today, Ryan?
Doing great, Mike. How are you?
Good. So we've got a big one today because this is the one that everybody always wants to know. Um, if homeowners insurance covers roof damage in Iowa. So I know that everybody wants to know, what types of roof damage does insurance cover and what they actually pay for and what it doesn't cover. So my question for you is, what does homeowners insurance in Iowa typically cover when it comes to roof damage?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest questions we get at Right Roofing in Des Moines is whether insurance will cover a roof replacement. The shorter answer is it depends on what caused the damage.
Right.
So storm damage is typically covered, depending on the extent of that damage.
Okay.
Things that are not going to be covered is going to be, when they're not taking care of maintenance, or if it's an install issue, if it's something that's, you can't directly relate to an actual storm.
Yeah. So that was my next question. What other types of things are not covered? Because most homeowners, I know as a homeowner, I want insurance to cover my roof, and that doesn't always happen. I know that's very disappointing. So, what types of things do insurance companies typically turn the claim down for?
So one of the things is going to be the most common things is going to be a lack of maintenance on it. If you've deferred the maintenance on your roof, if you're not taking care of it, your pipe flashings, and you get a leak, right?
Yep.
That's typically not going to be covered. Usually a leak happens not directly related to a storm. It's because your maintenance has just not been performed on that roof like you need to. One of the other issues could be sometimes poor ventilation, right, can cause that shingle to kind of blister and fail early.
Yep.
It can kind of, to an untrained eye, look like it might be from a hailstorm or something, but
Right.
typically it presents itself differently. It kind of blisters, kind of like you get a bad sunburn, you get some blisters on your shoulders, it kind of
Yes.
looks like that, and then they pop, so it kind of leaves kind of a scar there, but typically that stuff is from just poor ventilation,
So I
um,
guess what I'm getting from this is homeowners should do their routine maintenance just like you do on everything else.
just like everything else. It's a pretty expensive piece to your home, and keeping proper maintenance on it. It's just like you're not going to buy a car and never wash it or change
Right.
oil.
That
It's kind
makes
of the
sense. Or
same
get the oil
deal.
changed.
Yep,
You bet.
exactly.
So Ryan, tell me the could you tell me what the difference is between sudden and accidental damage versus gradual damage in insurance terms?
So, sudden and accidental is going to be a tree fell on your house, right?
Okay.
So that's going to be a sudden and accidental type scenario, or like a hailstorm or wind damage, like here in Iowa, derecho. Everybody knows that terminology now. That's going to be a sudden and accidental, right? So that's going
Yep.
to be covered by insurance. Gradual is going to be more like what we kind of covered is, well, it's a bad ventilation. It caused blistering on your roof. Or, well, I had this leak around my chimney, hadn't got it taken care of, and then a storm came through. That's something that we don't really want to, you're not taking care of your maintenance is not the insurance company's issue. It's not what it's there for.
Right. So the next question I have for you, and this is actually a big one. I've learned my lesson with this one. How does the age of your roof impact whether you receive ACV or RCV coverage? And maybe try and explain what the difference between ACV and RCV is to our listeners.
Sure. So in the last 5 years, basically since that derecho hit, I think that was in 20 or 2021.
Yeah. It was on my birthday.
Oh, really?
It was
Was that
August 10th,
August 10th? Gotcha.
2020. Yes.
Gotcha. It's been a while ago, but yeah. So back then, most people had an RCV policy, which is the policy that you're looking for. Typically, you're going to have a little higher premium. That means they're going to give you a replacement cost value. So let's say you've got a 15-year-old roof and a storm comes through and you have a replacement cost value or RCV. They're going to replace that roof for you basically at only the cost of your deductible, right? So
Yep.
that's a good deal for the homeowner. Typically, your premiums are going to be a little bit higher. Since 2020, they are really not doing replacement cost value on roofs that are like over 10 years old. Some companies are even 7 years old. They're not even giving you that option. So actual cash value is going to be like, okay, so my roof is 15 years old. So they're going to give you, let's say it's $20,000, right, to
Okay.
replace your roof. And so if they figured that that roof was going to last you 20 years and you've already had it for 15, they're only going to pay for 25% at an actual cash value policy. So you got $5,000 that they're going to give you. And on top of that, they're going to take your deductible, whether you have a $500 deductible or a $2,500 deductible. So you get yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, the insurance is like, yep, this is totaled out here. We're going to replace that roof for you. And they give you a check for $2,500, right?
Oh, wow.
So you got $17,500 to come up with on your own. That's where a lot of customers don't understand that. And I think we've all been at fault at that, right? You don't really think about it until you actually have an issue that comes up. So reviewing those policies, right, when they come, that deck page that you get, and actually kind of looking into the details of that is going to maybe save you a bunch of headaches in the future for sure. So that's kind of the difference. It's a huge chunk of money. Actual cash value is just making you whole because that roof was already most of the way through its life. So the insurance company is saying we're not responsible for that portion of it. So
No, that makes complete sense. It's not great news, but it does make mathematical sense. It's just math, right?
yeah, I think picking a good agent is going to help protect you from that. You know, a good agent is going to, hey, do you keep some extra cash around, right? When these things come up, maybe it's
Yep.
okay for you to have an actual cash value policy. But if you're scraping for $1,500 a month, you know, that you don't have that extra money in there, then you're going to kind of want to review that and make sure your agent understands that as well.
Right. So, Ryan, let me ask you this. So we've been talking about insurance claims. Can you tell me why it's important to get a professional roof inspection before filing the claim?
Yeah. So basically, what that does is it kind of helps us establish a baseline. So it helps us kind of tell a story about that storm. Sometimes in Iowa, most homeowners insurance policies will cover roof damage from storms, but they won't cover damage from wear and tear or deferred maintenance. So that's where we're going to come in and we're going to try to tell that story from that storm from you. So is this a wear and tear thing? Because then you could be in a situation where sometimes the insurance inspectors aren't going to see that it was wear and tear, right? And then you're stuck into this into an insurance claim, and then you're coming up with a huge chunk of money where, you know, maybe we could have been like, yeah, I don't really see this as storm damage. That way it gives you more time because once the insurance company comes in, you have so much time to do that work, right?
Right.
So really, we want to come in and be the pros in the area. Right Roofing always recommends getting a professional inspection first before you call that insurance company. We're going to be able to tell you whether that's actual storm damage or if it's just wear and tear and you might need a little bit of maintenance. So really, we're kind of going to help tell that story. And we're a local company. So a lot of times the insurance agents and stuff will call us out anyway, even before they recommend, because they don't want that claim on your file there if they don't have to. So we're going to be able to tell you whether it's an actual storm damage or not.
So I think I already know the question or the answer to this question, but if let's say I think I have some storm damage and I possibly want to file a claim with my insurance company, and I'm supposed to get that inspection done first. If someone calls Right Roofing, how much does the inspection typically cost?
Typically the cost of that can vary. A lot of times I believe it's $195. Sometimes I'm not in on all those numbers there, but typically that's going to cover your inspection, and then we'll discount that to you if we actually end up doing the work for you as well. So
Perfect. So what are some common mistakes homeowners make that can weaken their insurance claim?
So it's the deferred maintenance, right? I had a leak on my chimney, and I never got it taken care of. And then the insurance guy shows up and he's basically going to use that information against you, right?
Yep.
Well, it was already leaking before, right? So then there's going to be no interior damage that they're going to cover, and they're going to tell their story based on that. Well, there was a problem here before, and because of this and that, then therefore you already had a pre-existing condition here. So we're not going to cover that because it was already down that road. So
no, yeah, that makes complete sense. So we're all coming back to this routine maintenance, which is, I see it and I see the trail we're leading down. So Ryan, let me ask you, how does Right Roofing assist homeowners during the insurance claim process without using pressure tactics?
Yeah. So one of the things you don't want to do as soon as you start feeling pressured as a homeowner, basically don't sign any paperwork, no contingencies agreements from storm chasers. Make sure you're working with somebody local. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make, because once you sign that, even if they don't do the work or decide to, you change your mind as a customer, that you're like, okay, I don't feel safe with these guys. These guys can actually come back. Usually nobody's reading that fine print, and they'll come back
Right.
on you for a certain percentage of whatever that claim ended up being. So we give we're no pressure, right? So, hey, you got storm damage here. We're going to give you some good, better, best options, like right out of the gate. So we lead with an estimate for our customers. Most companies are going to wait to see what the insurance company is going to pay first. Well, we just lead with honest, straightforward. Here's kind of what a new roofing system cost. Here's 4 to 5 different options for you, what you're looking at. And then we kind of springboard that on what the insurance company does. So when it gets to that point and the insurance company is like, well, here's what we're going to pay, we can kind of look over, compare our estimate to theirs, see what the differences are. Sometimes they don't give you the code upgrades right away and they wait until after. So sometimes there's a little bit more money there, or they just forgot a few line items, which is pretty common. Some of them do it purposely, some of them don't. Some of it's just honest mistakes.
Right. I'm sure you probably got a few stories in the bank about some people who've not been treated the best.
For sure. I remember it was a few years ago, probably about 5 to 10 years ago. This guy found out he had an actual cash value policy. He had a storm chaser knock on his door, said, oh yeah, you've got bad hail damage. And we actually looked at the roof and we were like, there's some here. It's pretty, negligible. It's not going to cause you any immediate problems. It's going to be like, it just took a little bit of life off that roof. He ended up having a $10,000 deductible and an actual cash value policy.
Wow.
He got a check for about $1,200. So then he's got to come up with another, I think it was his $10,000 deductible plus another $4,000. And then he was forced to get that roof done by the insurance company. So that guy knocking on his door cost him probably roughly around $15,000 on a roof with minimal damage on it. So that's the stuff that we can kind of avoid for our customers. That's what Right Roofing tries to do. We're trying to figure out what's the best interest of our customers here in Iowa. So
Yeah, that was definitely an eye opener for a lot of homeowners, because I know that I get a lot of people. If a hailstorm, as you know, in Iowa, we've had these tiny little hailstorms here recently,
mhm.
and I've already had a couple roofing guys come knock on my door. And as you and I have discussed, I probably overspent, and I understand that, but I did get a decent roof, and it's pretty new. And I just look up and I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been doing podcasts with Right Roofing, and I know what to look for. And
Yep.
so, but like you said, say that there was a couple dings. Next thing you know, I'm out 10 grand because this guy knocked on my door, and now I'm forced. And the insurance company says, we're not going to cover you anymore if you don't do this. Thank goodness I've been talking to you. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel better.
Yeah, we're kind of like when you're playing baseball, right? And you're playing outfield and that ball is hit, comes off that bat, and it looks like it's really hot, and you always want to run in, right? So hold your ground, let that ball settle, and then make the move, right? So we kind of
Perfect.
use that analogy a lot here at Right Roofing. Let's hold our feet steady here, and then run in or run out, whatever makes sense.
So yeah, it sounds like talk to Right Roofing first, and then decide whether you even contact the insurance company.
Correct. Yep.
So, and it could save you thousands of dollars.
Can save you a ton of money and a ton of headaches.
So we've gone over a lot today, but I'm going to ask you one more question. And why does having the right documentation from a reputable local contractor improve your insurance claim?
So most of the insurance companies kind of know who the reputable guys are in town. So having that documentation just helps us tell that story of what happened on that roofing system, what damage was caused by that storm. We take good photos, we get you proof. So that's the biggest thing, right? We have the proof, we have the pictures, we have the documentation of what it does, what the bruising looks like, what any damage was done to that roof. And we also have estimates to be what it's going to actually take to repair that damage. Having that in hand when that insurance company gets involved is pretty critical, and it just makes that whole process a whole lot easier for that customer.
So yeah, again, we went over a lot of information, but I think the bottom line, what our listeners should take away from this today is, before you jump the gun and call your insurance company, make sure to call Right Roofing, right here serving the greater Des Moines and Central Iowa area, and get your ducks in a row, because if you don't, it could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars.
That's right. Just give Right Roofing a call. Let the pros take a look at it for you.
Exactly. It's better to take that itty bitty tiny bit of pain rather than the huge bank account, bulldozer. So
Yep, exactly.
absolutely. Well, Ryan, thanks for answering all our questions on insurance. You've cleared up a lot of things for me, and hopefully a lot for our listeners. And I look forward to our next talk.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ryan. Have a great day.
Yep, you too.